I want to get straight to Eamon Javers. He is standing by in Washington, and he's got a very special and important guest to our audience this morning. Eamon.
Yeah, good morning, Andrew. That's right. I'm sitting here with the new FTC Chair, Andrew Ferguson. Andrew, thank you so much for being here. Fascinating time to talk to you because so many headlines involving your agency right now. We had this dramatic moment earlier in the week where you were at a CEO event, the Yale CEO conference, which was supposed to be off the record. I was in the room. You were talking to some of the biggest CEOs in the world, including Jamie Dimon and others. And then somebody recorded it and leaked some of the comments about your overall worldview on the FTC. I want to go to your overall worldview on the FTC, but before we do that, I want to do a quick whip around of some of the big tech cases that you guys are facing, because so much of what you're doing impacts the stock price of so many of these companies. Starting with Amazon. Yesterday, there was this fascinating moment where you guys filed in court and said, we need to delay our Amazon case because we don't have the resources. And then like a couple of hours later, you filed another filing saying, no, actually, we were wrong. We're sorry. We do have the resources. Can you explain what happened there?
Sure, and thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Didn't file anything saying we didn't have the resources. The lawyer was talking during a hearing. The lawyer was wrong. The lawyer said he was wrong in the filing. I've said since day one, big tech is one of the main priorities of the Trump-Vance FTC. It's one of the reasons the president appointed me to this position. I've said since day one, every resource necessary to litigate these cases is available, will be made available. That remains true. That's why the lawyer filed what he did after he said what he did. He was wrong. We've got the resources. We've had them since day one. We're going to litigate these cases.
So you're not backing off of Amazon?
Unequivocally, no.
Microsoft. Yesterday, Bloomberg reported that you've opened an investigation into Microsoft. Can you tell us where that investigation stands right now?
Well, we're a law enforcement agency, so I'm not allowed to talk about stuff going on within the agency. But I can say President Trump appointed me to protect Americans in the marketplace, and that includes from big tech. And I've said since day one, big tech is one of our main priorities, and that remains true.
And the other big question is Facebook. You've got a case scheduled to go to trial in April, I believe, involving Facebook. And yesterday we saw Mark Zuckerberg at the White House. We don't know exactly what Mark Zuckerberg was talking to people at the White House about, but he is a fascinating figure because he's done this interesting political pitch toward MAGA. And he has become friends with Elon Musk. He's become friendly with the president and the administration. If the administration came to you and said, hey, wait a second, we kind of like Zuckerberg now, dial it back on Facebook, would you do that?
President Trump launched this suit against Meta in 2020. It's been litigated out for the last 5 years. I'm a law enforcer. My job is to make sure that everyone is complying with the antitrust laws, and if they aren't, we go to court. So the politics of all of this sort of above my pay grade. I see my job as pressing litigation where we have it, enforcing the antitrust laws across all the markets, taking big tech very seriously, and that's what we're going to do.
So you don't see Facebook as off the hook here either?
We've got a trial coming up. The team's getting ready. We're pressing toward that.
Let me ask you about, we had this sort of only in Washington drama about the secret recording at the CEO event earlier this week. Leaving the recording aside, I'm fascinated by your comments because I was in the room for that. And you sort of laid out your approach to the FTC and to antitrust and sort of big corporate power in that room. And I want to see if you can do that for our audience on live television, because I think it's different than what a lot of folks on Wall Street have expected from a Trump FTC. After the election, there was a lot of talk that the Trump FTC would be, open season for M&A, for big companies to do what they want. You don't see it quite that way. And I wonder if you could explain what the difference is between what Wall Street expected and what you're doing.
Sure. This is a free market administration, but one of the most important ways we keep our markets free in this country is vigorously enforcing the antitrust laws. If we've got markets infected with monopolies, with collusion, with foreclosure, the markets aren't free. They don't work for ordinary Americans. President Trump won this election because ordinary Americans were fed up with the way that the country was working. And I see it as my job at the FTC to vigorously enforce the antitrust laws to protect ordinary Americans. But I've talked with a lot of people in the business community, and one of the biggest objections they had with the previous administration's antitrust regime was they never quite understood what was going on. There was a lot of unclarity. There was a lot of uncertainty. I see it as one of my jobs to provide regulatory certainty, regulatory clarity. And here's what I want to say about that. If we've got a merger or conduct that violates the antitrust laws and I think I can prove it in court, I'm going to take you to court. And if we don't, I'm going to get the hell out of the way. The FTC is not going to try to use sort of sub-regulatory means to hold up mergers without actually taking people to court and hope that they die on the vine. That's over. If we think it violates the laws, we're going to litigate. And if it doesn't, we're going to get out of the way and we're going to let markets do their thing. We want the economy to grow. We want it to be vibrant. We want it to be dynamic. We want it to be innovative. That's how we're going to get out of this debt crisis. The FTC can play a role in that by enforcing the antitrust laws, make sure they work for everyone. But if you're not violating the law, the FTC is going to get out of the way.